Hey guys, Austin here, and welcome to another Power Rankings video. The last Power Rankings video I did was so well received. Everyone agreed with every ranking that I made, and I was really happy about that, and I'm really happy to do another one where I know there will be absolutely no discourse whatsoever. Here are my categories this week. I have PDO God. I think we all know who's about to go in there. We have our Cup contenders. We have 13-game win streak. We all know who's going to go into that one. We have our playoff locks. We have our bubble teams. We have Why Are You Trying? We have our basement, and then we have Celebrini season. So without further ado, let's jump into it. We're going to start with the PDO God. This team just refuses to drop below a 105 PDO, and that is the Vancouver Canucks. They lead the league in standings, in points. They are on pace to win the President's Trophy, and this team will not stop. Just when you think that PDO is going to drop, suddenly they score 6, 7, or 8 goals and bring that PDO right back up. So good for the Canucks. Not so good for people who like analytics like me, who are just scratching their head and wondering when that PDO is going to drop. Next up, we have our Cup contenders. So the first team I'm going to put in the Cup contender category, the Boston Bruins. It looks like they're really starting to find their game now. A lot of the guys that they had injured, like Grzelcyk, Carlo, Forbert, those guys are all back in the lineup. They just beat Montreal 9-4. Not that Montreal is a great team, but Boston in general has been playing really good as of late. The next team that I'm putting in the Cup contender category is the Winnipeg Jets. They continue to play very strong hockey. They are doing very well out west, and they could be the team to come out of the Western Conference if they keep playing like they have been. Next team in the Cup contender category, I'm going to stick the Colorado Avalanche. This is, of course, a perennial contender with McKinnon and Rantanen and all of the players in Colorado. Literally all of them. They're all very good. The only thing that Colorado needs is some improvement in net, but if they can get some improvement in their goaltending situation, Colorado is another team to be reckoned with. The next team that I am going to be throwing into the Cup contender category is the Dallas Stars. All season, they have been very consistent out west, and they play really good hockey. They've dipped a little bit in recent weeks, but overall, I like the Dallas Stars. I like the way they play. They have a good mix of veterans and younger players. They score goals. They keep the puck out of the net. They are a good team. And then the last team that I'm going to throw in the Cup contenders this week is the Florida Panthers. Now, the Panthers, they have lost a couple here, but they are very good when it comes to their analytics, and I do think that they're going to be a top 5 team finisher in the entire NHL by season's end. So the Florida Panthers, they are a Cup contender in my opinion. Now, when we come to the next category, 13-game win streak. Obviously, that's the Edmonton Oilers. They're the only team in the NHL on a 13-game win streak as of the recording of this video. So they get to sit just under the Cup contenders. Can't quite put them in there yet, so I had to give them their own category. Now we are on to the playoff locks. These are teams that will make the playoffs, even if they haven't been playing amazingly lately. First team, Vegas Golden Knights, of course. Again, they were playing really good to start the season, then they dropped. Now they're playing a bit better. It looks like they have found their groove again. Vegas is always a playoff lock. The next playoff lock, and I think they dipped from Cup contender status from last week, is the New York Rangers. Now, of course, when I do these rankings, just because the Rangers dropped from Cup contender to playoff lock, that does not mean that they are not a Cup contender. So Rangers fans, don't come yelling at me. I'm just having a bit of fun here, okay? But the Rangers, they are a playoff lock, and who knows, maybe in a couple weeks, they will be back up in the Cup contending status. I just think that there are a few teams ahead of the Rangers right now that deserve to be ahead of them. Now, my next playoff lock is the Carolina Hurricanes. They are playing very good hockey. They seem to have figured out their goaltending woes, and they are playing very good defensively. And this is a team that is going to make the playoffs. They are probably going to be a top 3 team in the Metro Division. So good for the Carolina Hurricanes. They are a playoff lock. And then the next playoff lock, even though they have struggled in 2024, so they've struggled mightily actually, is the Los Angeles Kings. What is saving the Kings right now is how hot of a start that they got off to this season. And their underlying metrics are very, very good. So I'm not too worried about the Los Angeles Kings at the moment. They are still a playoff lock to me. However, that could change week over week in the next power rankings. They could be a bubble team. You just don't know with LA right now. But it seems like they have stabilized for now. So we'll see where the Kings end up in the next power rankings. But they are a playoff lock at this very moment. Now we're into the bubble teams. These are the teams that either are currently in a playoff spot or are fighting to make the playoffs. So our bubble teams, first one, Tampa Bay Lightning. They're currently on a 5-game winning streak, and they are currently in a playoff spot, but I still consider them a bubble team because until they can play with consistency for more than 1 or 2 weeks at a time, they are a bubble team to me. They will probably be a playoff lock in a couple weeks as long as they continue to win, though. The next bubble team that I have is the Toronto Maple Leafs. This team, all season, their underlying metrics have not been great. They can't seem to get on any kind of a win streak. A lot of their points are coming from overtime and shootouts. They don't win a lot of games in regulation. I think there's only 4 or 5 teams in the entire league that have less regulation wins than the Toronto Maple Leafs. So unless something changes quickly for the Leafs, they could actually be dropping out of the playoff picture entirely. If you're a Leafs fan, what are you thinking right now? Do you think Sheldon Keefe is a problem? Should they fire Sheldon Keefe? Has Brad Treliving just put together a flawed roster? Let me know. Now, my next bubble team is the Detroit Red Wings. This, again, was another team that got off to a really, really hot start. They got off to a PDO heater, as I would call it. They have dropped off, unlike the Canucks. The Red Wings did drop off from their PDO heater. The Canucks continue to ride a PDO of 1.05, and I'm going to continue to mention that because I think it's incredible what Vancouver is doing this season. I don't want to take anything away from the Canucks or Canucks fans. When I say PDO heater and when I say Canucks are going to drop off eventually, that's just me being a numbers guy. It doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying watching the Canucks. They have a very fun team. They are led by incredible players. But anyways, this is about Detroit as a bubble team, so I will leave them there. The next bubble team I have is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, this, again, it's another team. Their underlying metrics are very strong, but they're just being undone by some poor goaltending, some defensive lapses, and their special teams are just not great at the moment. Especially that power play, it needs to get going for Pittsburgh to start stringing some wins together and start gaining ground in the Metro Division. Now, the next bubble team that I have is the Washington Capitals, another team that got off to a really strong start. They have cooled off, but they are maintaining pace in that playoff race. And maybe Ovechkin will start to heat up a little bit. Who knows? He's still having a bit of a slow season in terms of his standards. So Washington right now, still a bubble team in my opinion. Next bubble team I have is the New Jersey Devils. And again, this is another team where their underlying metrics are very strong, but they are being undone by shaky goaltending. And until they can fix the goaltending issues, they are not going to be a playoff lock for me until they string together a few weeks of strong play, strong defensive play, keep the puck out of the net, score some goals, and win a whole bunch of games here soon. Because for New Jersey, they will fall out of the race soon. They got to pick it up, in my opinion. Next bubble team, the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken had been on a huge run. They had won 9 in a row. They were the hottest team in the NHL with the Edmonton Oilers. They have lost 3 in a row since that 9-game win streak, so they remain a bubble team. They remain just on the outside of that wild card spot in the Western Conference, and we'll see if Seattle can get back to their winning ways or if they will continue to drop off. Now, the next bubble team I have is the Arizona Coyotes. They are maintaining their pace in the wild card race out west, but they are falling behind a little bit here, and don't be surprised if they drop out completely from this playoff picture. They've been a very fun story this season, a lot of great young players. If they make the playoffs, I think that's a bonus for their fans and the organization, but don't be surprised to see them drop out as the season progresses. Just looking at their underlying metrics, they're not very strong. So we'll see where Arizona ends up. But again, that is a very fun team to watch. We do like the Arizona Coyotes. Now we have our Why Are You Trying teams. These are teams that are either aging and are out of the playoff picture and just aren't good enough to tank, but they're not good enough for the playoffs. First one I'm going to put in there is the New York Islanders. This team is not good. They have banked a ton of points from overtime and shootouts, just kind of like the Leafs, but they just have less wins than the Leafs. They just changed coaches. Patrick Waugh was just hired. I'm not sure if that type of coach is what the Islanders need. I don't know if they're going to get the right coaching bump that they think they are from that. I think Lou Lamoriello has put together a very flawed roster. I don't like the Islanders' chances chances at all. This is a team that should be trying to get a high draft pick, not try and make the playoffs just based on where they are right now. And I definitely don't think Patrick Roy is the answer at the moment. Now, the next team I'm throwing in there, and why are you trying? The Montreal Canadiens. They were in here last week. Again, this is a team that needs to start dropping very quickly in the standings. They need to get another top 10 pick, in my opinion. They're not quite there in their rebuild. They had a good start. And again, it's good for the fans. You always want to have a good product on the ice. You want to give something for fans to cheer about, but they need to continue to build their current prospect and young player pool. They need to continue to build up Slavkovsky. And they need to continue to get high-end draft picks and prospects, because right now they're not a playoff team. They shouldn't be fighting for a playoff spot. That is detrimental to the future of the team, in my opinion. The next why are you trying team, again, similar with the Islanders in terms of aging, not great, underperforming. The Calgary Flames, I think they do need to embrace a full-on rebuild at some point. I don't know how you even approach a full-on rebuild with some of the contracts they have with Huberdeau and Kadri. No idea how you go about that, but the Calgary Flames, they're not good enough to be a playoff team, and they're not bad enough for a high-end draft pick. Tough spot to be in if you're a Flames fan. Flames fans, let me know what you think right now. That's a tough spot. I don't envy you at all. Now, the next team I'm throwing in there is going to be the St. Louis Blues. Again, this is another team that needs to start to embrace a rebuild. They need to start rebuilding their prospect pool. After that cup win in 2019, they've been trying to just keep finding a way to win another cup, get into the playoffs at all costs, and it's coming at the cost of their future. We've seen this with other teams in the past. Sometimes it's hard to admit when you need to rebuild, but for the St. Louis Blues, I would like to see them embrace a rebuild, in my opinion. Next team that's going into the why are you trying is going to be the Buffalo Sabres. Now, with the Sabres, they should be a bubble team, and they shouldn't be near the basement. Now, the Sabres should be trying. The team on paper should be better than they are. At this point in the season, though, their current record and where the trajectory of the team is, and just maybe where you want to be picking in the draft. Again, I know Sabres fans don't want to hear draft lottery. They've had enough draft lottery seasons where they could have picked very high. But for some reason, this team is not finding a way to win. And at this point, start losing, try and get another good pick, and hope that next season works out better. I really do feel for Sabres fans. It is very unfortunate that this team has not been able to perform to expectations. Now, the next one, of course, is the Minnesota Wild. This is a team that started slow, poor goaltending. They changed coaches. They got the coaching bump with John Hines, but John Hines, in my opinion, he's not a good long-term coach, and they're already struggling after the coaching bump. This is a team that will not make the playoffs, and if you want to salvage any type of future at the moment with Minnesota, keep losing, get a high-end draft pick, and go from there. Now, next one that I want to look at is, looks like I've missed someone. Nashville Predators are a bubble team. I wanted to put Nashville in the bubble team. Sorry, Nashville fans. I totally forgot about you. And then playoff locks, Philadelphia Flyers. I also almost forgot about the Philly Flyers. They are a playoff lock. We love to see what Philly has been doing. John Tortorella has that team rolling right now. Very, very good for Philly fans. Didn't think Tortorella had it in him to turn that team around. On paper, that Flyers team doesn't look incredible, but good for them. And then, of course, yes, Nashville bubble team. I almost forgot. My apologies for that. Now, when we look at the basement, I am putting the Blue Jackets in the basement and the Senators in the basement. These two teams, it's a season to forget for both of them. Columbus, like I mentioned last week in the last power rankings, nothing has gone right for them, even before the season started. The whole Mike Babcock situation. And then Goudreau hasn't performed. There's been issues with the coaching staff and players being benched, players being sent to the minors who thought they didn't deserve to go to the minors. It's been a mess in Columbus. And then Ottawa, they made the coaching change. They got rid of DJ Smith, but that seems to have backfired even more. Jacques Martin's team has played even worse somehow. I did not think that was possible. So for Ottawa, you are a basement dweller. And then Celebrini season, the three teams I think that have the best shot at Macklin Celebrini, the Anaheim Ducks, Chicago Blackhawks, and San Jose Sharks. It's pretty obvious why these teams are in the Celebrini season category here. But that is it for my power rankings this week, guys. What did you think about the power rankings? If you like this video, make sure you hit like. If you really liked it, make sure you hit subscribe. If you want to see more power rankings in the future, please let me know. These are very fun for me to make, and I enjoy making them. So we will see you guys in the next one. Take care.